Today we're diving into the surprising gravity of silence and choosing when you show up. Think about those people, the ones who don't really clamor for attention, but when they're not there, you feel it. It's almost this like tangible shift. There's a curiosity, right? An urge to, I don't know, reconnect. It's like their absence itself is saying something loud.
Yeah, and what's really interesting there is how it disrupts what people expect,
Yeah.
When someone isn't just always available,
Right.
it challenges the assumptions others have made about their role, maybe? It's like a little switch flips and they kind of have to reconsider the whole dynamic.
So, okay, let's flip that around. Imagine if you became that person, just for a moment.
Yeah.
Instead of that instant reply, a pause. Instead of reacting right away, just considered silence. What do you think might happen? It's a potent thing to think about, isn't it?
Well, it really brings us to a key point about our conditioned responses. We're often so driven, aren't we, by this need to immediately jump in, to be on.
Yeah, always on, without really thinking about the effect on ourselves. And this constant availability, it creates this predictable pattern.
Predictable, yeah.
Others can anticipate it, and sometimes they can even leverage it.
That predictability. Always being ready to react, always emotionally there. That's where the imbalance can creep in.
Exactly.
It can put you in a spot where others, maybe not even consciously, learn how to manage your responses with their actions. But when you add that unexpected element, that silence, the dynamic starts to shift.
It does.
Precisely. The source material we looked at points out how people who think they've got you figured out, they can be deeply unsettled when you withdraw that constant responsiveness. It forces them to reassess on their end.
It reminds me of that powerful quote from Carl Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves.
Ah, that's a great connection.
So let's apply that here to this silence idea. When you step back, get quieter. Who gets stirred up?
Yeah.
Who feels the need to poke you, Yeah. And those reactions, they really can be like a mirror, can't they?
Yeah.
Someone gets agitated or tries to provoke you into responding. It often shows how much they were relying on your constant engagement, maybe for their own sense of balance or maybe even sometimes control.
Right.
It raises a big question, really. Was your responsiveness part of a healthy back and forth, or did it accidentally fuel a dependency?
It really makes you think about all the energy we pour into those instant reactions. The times we jump in to smooth things over.
Keep the peace.
Keep that fragile peace, yeah. Even in relationships that maybe aren't really feeding us. And afterwards, there's just this quiet exhaustion, a fatigue you can't quite name.
The source material is pretty direct about this. It suggests that feeling that drain often comes from consistently giving your energy to people or situations that don't genuinely value it.
Like pouring water into a leaky bucket.
Exactly. It's a constant outflow, but nothing's coming back in. So you end up running on empty because you're prioritizing all these external demands.
But this isn't really about just cutting people off, is it? It's framed more as reclaiming yourself, which feels right. The text brings up Jung's idea of individuation.
Yes.
That journey towards becoming whole. How does consciously choosing silence fit into that?
Well, think of individuation as like becoming fully who you're meant to be. Like that acorn realizing its potential to be a whole oak tree, right? So consciously pulling back from those constant external demands, it creates the space you need for introspection. It lets your own inner voice, your authentic self, actually surface more clearly.
So it guides you from within.
Instead of being constantly pushed around by outside pressures,
It really pushes back against that deep-seated idea that our worth is tied to how much we give, how available we are. The text even uses the word imprisonment for perpetual availability. That's a strong word.
It is strong, but it highlights the subtle ways we can get trapped by other people's expectations when our value is only measured by how responsive we are. We risk letting external needs define us. And it overshadows our own, intrinsic worth. This predictable nature, it seems like it builds connection, but actually it can lead to being, undervalued.
It's like becoming that reliable screwdriver in the toolbox, always there when needed. The emotional convenience, as the text calls it.
That's a good way to put it.
Taken for granted, right up until you're not instantly accessible. And then, bam, the reaction can be huge. Accusations like, you've changed, or you're being distant.
And the source material points out, very sharply I think, that reaction often isn't really about you failing. It's more about revealing the other person's dependency.
Oh, okay.
They got used to you always being there, unwavering, and your shift, It disrupts their established pattern, so the accusations often come from their discomfort with your new boundaries.
This connects to Jung's idea of the persona, too, doesn't it? Those masks, the roles we play. When we constantly feel we have to explain ourselves, justify why we need space just to keep up appearances, it feels like it drains something.
It absolutely does. Every time we feel we have to over-explain or apologize for setting a boundary, we subtly reinforce the idea that our needs are somehow secondary.
Right.
And this constant performance trying to maintain these personas, it chips away at our inner strength. It pulls us further from our genuine selves, from our own life priorities.
Yeah.
We get so focused on getting that external nod of approval
That we lose touch with our own internal compass.
Yeah, precisely.
So the real power, then, it seems, is in consciously choosing, deciding who gets your time, your energy, your presence, and even, as the text says, the gift of your silence. Not everyone, it states pretty bluntly, is entitled to that gift. That's a tough truth, but maybe a vital one.
It is tough because it makes us face that fear, doesn't it? Fear of disappointing people, fear of missing out. But the material digs into what's often underneath our compulsive reactions.
Which is?
Often it's fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, of being isolated, and Jung's concept of psychic energy being finite.
Yeah.
That's key here.
Okay, finite energy.
Yeah, think of it like a limited resource.
Yeah.
Every impulsive reaction, every time you try to please everyone just to avoid conflict, it depletes that valuable reserve, like constantly taking money out of a bank account without putting any back in.
And when we're always reacting out of that fear, we actually make ourselves more vulnerable, don't we?
Yes.
But when we learn to master those impulses, then silence changes. It goes from being passive to being, well, strategic, a kind of inner defense.
Exactly. By choosing not to react immediately, you create this space for a thoughtful response, not just an impulsive reaction. And that silence, it really can act like a shield.
Protecting your energy.
Protecting your energy, stopping you from getting pulled into pointless arguments or, emotional games.
Yeah.
And what's more, it forces others to look inward when they can't rely on your instant reaction anymore.
They have to deal with themselves.
They're kind of forced to confront their own internal stuff, yeah.
Okay, but there's a potential downside mentioned. The text admits that embracing this selective unavailability might mean losing some relationships. The ones maybe built on convenience or just superficial stuff. But then it reframes that resulting solitude. Not as negative, but as sacred solitude, essential for a real self-discovery.
And that period of solitude, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, it's like a crucible.
Yeah.
It's vital for that process of becoming more fully yourself,
right.
The individuation we talked about.
Right.
It's in those quiet moments away from the noise that your own internal voice gets stronger. It lets you rebuild authentically based on your own values, your own desires, not just what others expect.
And those people who get really bothered by this shift, by your moments of quiet or absence, they kind of show their hand, don't they?
They really do.
They reveal that maybe they valued your usefulness more than your actual self.
Exactly. But the positive side of that is, as those less meaningful connections start to fade, it creates space.
Yeah.
Space for more genuine connections with people who actually value you for who you are, not just what you provide. As the source material puts it quite nicely, your authentic self becomes more vivid, more authentic, and more powerful without those draining dynamics.
So becoming selectively unavailable, it's not about cutting yourself off from the world.
Look, not at all.
It's more about recognizing your own worth and understanding that true value isn't in being endlessly available. It's in the conscious scarcity of your time and attention.
The conscious choice.
Right. It's not loss, it's liberation. A kind of rebirth into a more authentic way of being. So if you've journeyed through this deep dive with us, you probably feel that pull towards something more. A space beyond just reacting all the time. It might be a yearning for what the text calls true emotional freedom. And, as we've talked about, genuine love, genuine respect, they kind of lose their meaning if they require you to sacrifice your true self. So as you go about your day, maybe just consider this quiet power. Are you ready? Are you ready to embrace the profound strength that lies in the silence within you?